taking the fork in the road towards comedy whenever possible. There will be many forks in the road. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Drinking and Talking Animals. I'm Bob.
I'm Mark.
I'm George.
And shout out to our good friend Elka today, because this animal is coming directly from her email suggestion, the maned wolf. And apologies for us taking so long to get around to this, because I believe this was probably at least 6 more months ago that
More
Elka
likely.
had requested this animal. But, you know, we went in our own directions, and it is what it is. There's only so often we're going to cover mammals. Like 1 out of every 5 or so, it seems like. So if people have been listening long term, you know, we seem to go like mammal, bird, reptile, bug,
Fish.
fish, right? Or,
Fish.
yeah, water dweller of some type, right? Let's see. I don't have anything more than that for the beginning of this. I don't know if there's any holidays coming up. I haven't thought about anything.
Well, how was that Super Bowl last weekend?
Yeah,
Stupid.
That was a
didn't-
great
yeah.
game.
right.
Good commercials.
Red versus red.
That's right. It's all a conspiracy.
Yeah, it was funny. Yesterday, leaving the golf course, one of the guys said, "Go Bills," to my buddy Doug, and we all laughed and laughed. And right, he's just been kicked in the nuts so many times by the Buffalo Bills that I couldn't stop laughing about it. And another crazy little Buffalo story. So I don't think if everyone can see my shirt, I'll lift it up a little bit. But it says Buffalo Bills body lotion, and at the bottom it says it rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. So it's the Death's Head moth from Silence of the Lambs. So I walk into 7-Eleven this morning to buy my ritualistic Diet Pepsi, and the lady went out while I'm checking out. She goes, "Oh, I lived in Buffalo for a year." And I was like, this ain't got nothing to do with Buffalo. Yeah, like, have you ever seen Silence of the Lambs? And she goes, "No, what's that?" I'm like, okay, I'm out. Like, we're done here, miss. Please cash me outside.
me outside.
How about that? Right.
Just told her the whole story.
Right. Like, oh, you would love it. It's got Anthony Hopkins. Yeah,
You got a recipe?
yeah, he won an Academy Award for being on screen for like 13 minutes. Yeah, isn't that incredible, Max? That's one of the weirdest Oscars ever awarded, but he was really freaking creepy in that movie. Nailed it. And I haven't watched the new True Detective yet, but it's got Jodie Foster, so I think I'm going to check it out.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
how about them socials?
We're doing that first. Gotcha.
Let's just change it up.
Yeah. Drinking and Talking Animals on Instagram and Facebook. D&T Animals at gmail.com. And use our link on Instagram and Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. I just put up the, this will be long ago. This has been up by the time everyone hears this, but the Us Live at the Pacific Northwest Exotic Animal and Reptile, or reverse that show.
Reptile and exotic animals show.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite interviews to date with
Yes.
Tasia Larson. She was incredible. Just talking about someone that's done kind of amateur taxidermy. It was really cool.
I like rat in a bucket.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that, when those carrion beetles eat the skeletons, that they actually leave the ligaments intact, that, you can basically pin them down into whatever form they want to take in that substrate. And you really don't have to do, because I always think of how they articulate like dinosaur bones and stuff, where you have to use all the wires and, you're suspending them basically. I guess you really don't have to do that with the smaller animals. Like, they kind of stick together in a...
Well, with
in
the
a-
teeny tiny animals, they do eat through them, but it's the medium sized snakes and things like that. But when you're
Yeah.
doing like mice, yeah, they'll eat some parts of the bones too.
Right. That would just be food
Yeah.
at that point. Because, I remember she said that there was a lot of talk of snake jerky because she desiccates them before they go to the carrion beetles, and the beetles really love the snake jerky. I bet we'd love it too, George. Would you try it?
I've had snake jerky.
Ah,
Rattlesnake
I believe.
jerky.
I knew it. Yeah. Speaking of jerky, just kidding. We're not eating jerky today.
Actually,
like,
well-
we're having homemade snake jerky.
Yeah. We're drinking Sierra Nevada Brewing Company's Trail Pass non-alcoholic IPA with an ABV of less than 0.5%. The IBUs are 75, 95 calories. Hops are Amarillo, Bravo, Cascade, CTZ, and Magnum. And it is a ale type yeast. They're very secretly guarding their malt bill,
I believe it.
as a lot of the NAs do. So
And I will tell you, this is really damn close to
Holy shit.
Green Label Sierra Nevada.
it is.
I even got a little bit of lacing on my first drink,
Yeah.
which has been rare in our NAs. So,
We've drank a lot of IPAs that didn't do that.
right. And I've had a lot of IPAs that are worse than this, believe me, by far.
I think we found all of them.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot of
yeah.
explosions in that category as well.
It was a 5-year process for them to get this down to the point where they felt it was something that could be drunk.
Right.
And the main thing was is finding the right type of yeast that had a low alcohol yield or almost no alcohol yield.
Early quitter.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, and that's what, I guess that makes total sense because we
Good,
talked about
yeah.
that recently that, this non-alcoholic market is absolutely exploding. It's valued at, I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like $3 billion
Yep.
a year as its own standalone industry. And if, you're a brewery and you can develop this for the folks that are, I guess being a little more new age or health conscious about what they put in their bodies, it's not that this is a great one to put a lot of them in your bodies, because if you're watching your carbs, there's 20 carbs in every 12-ounce can. So and I was surprised to actually see carbs on any type of a beverage label because, I guess it's probably because it's an NA. You don't usually, I guess they put carbs on like Miller Lite and Michelob Ultra because that's the point of those beers.
Because they're
but-
bragging that up.
yeah. In general, I think if you're a beer drinker, you kind of get to the point where you could give an F about carbs anyway. You're like, well, I don't drink it because I'm health conscious. I drink it for the effect. All right. Not that I would know. I just passed, at the time you hear this, I should be somewhere around, I guess, like 74 days sober, something like that. So, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it'll be probably my first sober Super Bowl in freaking forever. Yeah, it's a red letter day, which I think I was going to bring that up anyway, that it's a really weird thing that, during the course of this show, I kind of evolved into needing to take a major break from alcohol. And maybe it's a good theme for us to talk about anyway, that you can get to where you're not as functional as you used to be when you drink a lot. And that's where this guy got. So I really had to sit back and reevaluate a few priorities in my life. And it turned out the easiest one to get rid of was alcohol. And I feel fantastic. It was really weird. I was at a place where, I have a watch that tracks my pulse and does all that kind of, like activity tracker stuff. And I'd constantly look down at my pulse, and I'm just sitting around doing nothing, and it's over 100, like just consistently. And I'm like, well, this has to have a root cause. So I quit drinking, and within 2 weeks, I'm sitting around, and my heart rate usually hovers somewhere between 65 and 80. So that's the one major thing that I've noticed is I just feel more relaxed. I'm not like tense and uptight, and even people at work said I've been less of an asshole. Which, I know it's hard for you guys to believe.
I haven't
'cause-
noticed that yet.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we can all dream.
We're too close. We can't see the asshole for the forest.
Yeah, if an asshole's in the forest. Right, anyway.
How about our snack?
Yeah, I want to hear about it because it says twang, and I love their catchphrase.
We're eating Beer Nuts new Cantina mix. The mix including twang seasoned peanuts, chili lime,
Twang.
insane grain,
My penis doesn't
guacamole,
twang.
and habanero sticks, along with the. They describe it as a sweet and spicy snack mix.
Yeah, the sticks are hot.
Huh. So the sticks are a combination of guacamole and jalapeno, or
Some of them
are there?
there's multiple ones in there.
Oh,
Max is giving it a 2 thumbs up.
yeah. He gave it a chef's kiss already.
Yeah.
The yellow
chef's
ones
kiss.
were hot.
Huh, the yellow ones. I'll get into those in a minute. But the catchphrase says, great times, great nuts.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. Yeah, I'll give it an extra point just because of that. I love good marketing.
Yeah.
They're tasty.
Yeah,
So, do we need a break?
yeah. Might as well take a short one here.
Whew.
We're back with a mouthful of nuts.
Yeah. No, it's not the first time you sounded like you had a mouthful of nuts.
You have some nuts on your chin.
Yeah, chin nuts. Yeah. That's the old joke. What do you call nuts on a wall? Walnuts. Yeah. Nuts on a chest, chestnuts. Nuts on your chin, blowjob. Heyo. Yeah, hey, that's rare too. Bob gets the first joke of the day.
Yeah.
Right. Maned wolf. Let's see. I've said this before, but this really might be my fastest taxonomy of all time. Time me. The maned wolf is a mammal in the order Carnivora and resides in the family Canidae. That comes from the Latin word for dog, Canis. The subfamily is Caninae, and then we get to the tribe Canini. They all have the same origin, and that's good news for you and makes it easy on me. The genus is Chrysocyon. That comes from the ancient Greek words chryso for golden and kion for dog. The species is Chrysocyon brachyurus, and they are the only species in this genus. In Greek, brachys means short, and ora means tail,
Yeah.
which is going to make no fucking sense as we get into this animal.
Got that right.
Yeah, the full word means having a short tail in Latin, New Latin. Their common name comes from the weird mane that grows on the nape of their necks and gives them a real I pity the fool Mr. T vibe minus the gold
Yep.
chains. Yeah, I pity the fool who don't come in my savannah. Better get off my savannah, fool. That's what I can imagine that thing saying right now. Yeah. I love Mr. T. That was my favorite in the, what was it, Rocky 3? Clubber Lang? Yeah. I got one word for you, Balboa. Pain.
Actually, we just had Carl Weathers just died.
Oh, yeah. That is true.
A couple weeks back
Yep.
from when this comes out.
Yep. Carl Weathers of Apollo Creed fame. He was Chubbs in Happy Gilmore. What else? There was one more major role that he had, but I'll think of it as we move on. Oh, yeah, Predator.
Yeah, Predator.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
yeah, he was awesome in Predator, too. Yep. Yeah, that's interesting stuff. Usually I would make some of those associations. I didn't even think of that at all. But that news just literally came out. So about Carl Weathers, it's going to be old by the time everyone hears this anyway. But where would we find the maned wolf, Mark?
Oh, of course. Found in the South American cerrados of South, Central, West, and Southeast Brazil, Paraguay, Northern Argentina, Bolivia, east and north of the Andes, and the far southeast Peruvian in the Pampas de Heath area, and is most likely extinct in Uruguay.
Yeah. The one place where they couldn't stop killing them. Most likely. I'm not sure. Unless there was a lot of competition or there's way more freaking jaguars there.
Actually, it was mostly it was the killing them, but it was also loss of habitat.
I think there's a lot of mining going on there. That's really the sore spot.
Yeah.
That would do it. Characteristics. Their markings resemble that of a fox if a fox walked on stilts.
Pretty much.
They do look like a stilt fox. Would have been a better name. Or the Mr. T Fox. I'm going to call him that from now on.
Friggin' tall is
Yeah.
another word for it.
Way tall.
They got legs
Right.
and know how to use them.
You'll find a very specific number for their top speed all over the internet at 47 miles per hour.
Yeah.
But other sources listed a more believable average of 35, which I would believe 35. Maybe, I don't know, even know how the guy that said 47 and it caught on even witnessed that or had a speed gun or whatever the hell. It must have been a one-off if that even happened. I find it really hard to believe.
I doubt.
Right.
I mean, their gait doesn't allude
Right.
itself to.
They're lanky.
They're lanky, but the way they walk,
Right.
it doesn't make for speed.
Right. They have some slender legs on them. They got legs and they know how to use.
I would say that it's built to run. It's built pretty much like a greyhound dog,
Baby, we were born to run.
but its
Ding
environment
dong dong.
in heavy grassland that doesn't yield to running.
No.
Right.
I mean, like there's some little deer there that they've never seen them run. They bound
Right.
because the grass is so tall.
That's a more efficient way to move. So instead of getting tangled up everywhere you go, they have a thick reddish brown to golden orange coat on their sides, long black legs, that distinctive black mane, and erect ears.
Heyo.
There's a white tuft at the end of their tails and a white bib under their throats. They are the largest canid in South America, and while they look like a fox, we call them a wolf, and they're related to neither.
No.
They also happen to be the tallest wild canid in the world.
Yep.
Despite being members of the order Carnivora, they're omnivores and eat small animals, fruits, and vegetables. Having evolved in tall grass savannas, they stand about 3 to 3.5 feet tall at the shoulders or withers, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, when I first saw that 43 inches, I'm going, no friggin' way are they that
Right.
tall.
Yeah.
I know how tall a gray wolf is, and it's like a foot shorter than that.
Yeah, that's why I went with 3.5 because that was 42. Yeah, maybe we can give another inch if we're generous. Heyo.
It's incredible, really.
Right.
I mean, they're a lot taller.
Yeah. And on average, they weigh around 50 pounds.
Yep.
That was the easiest way to just condense it all. They have a head to rump length of about 40 inches and additionally have up to an 18-inch tail.
Yeah.
So remember when I said whoever decided on
Yeah.
that word was freaking, I don't know what they were smoking when they,
The only short thing about it.
right. They're going to call it short tail golden dog.
Yeah.
Be like, no.
Skip over
Yeah.
the long legs and
Right.
the big ears. And
Yeah, and if you think an 18-inch tail is short, I don't know what you think a long tail is. Heyo. And those erect ears I mentioned are large and 7 inches long and also help them regulate heat. Speaking of erect, the black hairs of their manes can be puffed up to make them look larger when threatened or as an aggressive display. They're crepuscular, being mainly active during the twilight hours of the morning and evening, but are known to be active on well moonlit nights and cold or cloudy days. They have 42 total teeth. That includes the long canines you'd expect a canid to have. Front paw prints measure just under 3 to 3.5 inches long and a little over 2 to just under 3 inches wide. Hind paws are very similar to the front in length, but are 2.5 to a bit over 3 inches wide on those back feet. So a little bit sturdier base on the back in terms of width. They're very similar other than that. Their urine smells like weed, grass, Mary Jane, the sticky icky, or cannabis if you're nerdy, and it earned them the nickname Skunk Wolf.
Yeah. And some
And-
people think it smells like hops too.
Yeah, I think I wrote that down because we're gonna talk about a lot of pee today.
Similar chemistry in that.
Well, wasn't
Yeah.
it at the zoo in Rotterdam? There was a massive investigation going on because zoo patrons reported somebody kept standing around the main wolf enclosure smoking pot.
Yeah,
Turns out it was just the wolves peeing.
That's just my pee-pee.
Yeah, babe.
Yeah. And like we've already said multiple times, I bet the pee-pee is going to be a major part of Max's favorite part of the show today. Tell the people what time it is, Max.
Oh, yeah. I saw your long legs from across the savannah. Come over here and I'll pee-pee all over you. It's time for mating with Mark.
Yeah, here we go, folks. Mating with Mark. All right. Well, maned wolves are monogamous, but solitary. They basically, a pair will share about an approximately 10 square mile territory. And they have defined paths going to the territory. Now, they mark their territory liberally with urine and feces, the outer edges. But it's also how they keep track of each other.
Yep.
Now, generally they only truly meet up to breed, and that's when the female starts marking a little more frequently, and she has a pheromone in there that says, "Hey, babe, it's time."
Yeah.
That's a lot like a puma, where they live distant and they kind of start sending love letters along the trail.
Now, there isn't a
Meet me on the rock at 10.
there isn't a ton known about their reproduction in the wild because they are so secretive. But and they do keep and breed them in captivity, so they kind of piecemeal stuff together. So here we go.
And I think that, see, this was the one sore spot that we totally neglected to mention when we talked about the ocelot, is that unless you're out at night, you would never know that an ocelot lives in your area because
Oh, yeah.
they're so secretive, and
I thought we did mention that.
I don't think we ever did.
I might have talked about how difficult it was to get a photo of them, that only camera traps.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I think they've only captured these. Well, I know that there was one particular story that talked about a melanistic, completely black maned wolf
Yeah.
that was captured in a camera trap. I think in Brazil,
Even harder to see.
like 2013 or something. It was odd. That was an oddly specific fact, but those are very rare.
And I think the breeding in captivity is really pretty successful. I mean, there's a lot of them in captivity.
Everything I read said it was difficult.
There's
in the wild, it's difficult. And
3,000 of them in captivity. They've been doing something.
yeah, I know that they've been successful, but it was highly dependent on climate, right? Like some zoos are more successful than others based on just locality, I believe. But
It is, and yeah.
Or would you rather do it in Winnipeg or?
right, exactly. It's too cold to bang. Well, zoos are the one place where they're kind of forced to see each other a lot more often than they naturally would in the wild either. So
Correct.
It's not a complete duplication of what their natural behavior is.
No.
So
And they spend a lot more time together, though. I watched one YouTube from the same zoo, a couple different things they did, and they introduced a male to a new female because they wanted to do some genetic diversity. And they pretty much spent their time at opposite ends of the thing until she finally decided it was time.
do you already have another mate?
He did.
So they're trying to force him to do something he doesn't want to do.
Correct.
Like, you need to
But
cheat on your wife,
if-
bro.
well,
you have to for science.
If his mate is
But I
lost,
said I wouldn't.
if their mates
but this is for science.
are lost, they will look for a new mate.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
I would
not- yeah,
I would
and
totally
that's what-
believe
yeah.
that, but it's
Yeah.
not like they're gonna fake his current mate's death at the zoo.
Well, they just yanked her out, left him alone for a while,
Right.
And for I think about a year, and then brought in a new one.
Well, that's got to be screwed up
Yeah.
when they bring her back.
He
They're
just
not
said he
bringing her
was-
back. She went
Oh.
on into another.
Oh, so she just
Yeah.
got retired?
He just said
She
he
went
was
into
divorced.
another to mate with another woman.
Oh, huh.
Now, the females are monoestrus, but meaning they only come into cycle once a year. And are only in estrus for 1 to 5 days.
Dang, short window.
Now, generally, between August, breeding season in North American captives is in August and October, and in South America, in the wild ones, and the captives in the southern hemisphere, it's between October and February. And it's thought to be affected by photoperiod. So that's where in the zoos that have the same photoperiods as what they're used to in the wild, those are the ones that are more successful in their breeding. Now, and again, the female marks more when she is approaching when she wants to be bred.
Right.
And
When her milkshake's ready to bring the boys to the yard.
pheromones, again, the urine has more pheromones in it, and that lets the male know it's time to start hunting her down. The female does not ovulate until she picks up his scent. And they've also done some studies in some zoos where they've, the two of them can have physically see each other, but they block the scent from coming in and she doesn't ovulate. Once they put him in a thing where she can actually smell him, she ovulates almost immediately. And this is...
It's like, there it is.
Yeah.
Old Spice works every time.
Yeah. Now, she initiates the breeding. She stamps her front paws and bows down in front of him.
Oh.
And then she rubs...
Every man's dream.
And then she rubs her hind end against him, and then they, of course, they do the usual dog sniffing of the nether regions.
Right. It's like all my men wear English leather or nothing at all.
He then mounts her, and they copulate for about 15 minutes.
What's their favorite position?
Wolfie style.
Yeah.
Now, gestation can take 56 to 65 days on average. The pups are birthed in what they call a natal nest, which is hidden in dense vegetation. They do not know if the male... In the wild, it appears some males do stick around, but not always. But in captivity, the male always does help with the raising.
Right. And I think the way I interpreted that was that, it's another thing where they're extrapolating that based on zoo behavior.
Yeah.
But it may or may not be true in the wild.
Correct.
Because I would tend to think that since they're so solitary anyway, once the dude does his business, I doubt he's around for
Yeah.
the pups. But
Now, 1 to 5 pups are in the average litter. The record was 7. They weigh about 12 to 16 ounces at birth, and their fur is black, which changes to red at about 10 weeks. Eyes open in 9 days, and they nurse for up to 4 months. Now, they start eating regurgitated food from mom and in captivity dad at about 3 weeks of age.
yeah, that is freaking weird in the dog world, is it not?
Yes.
I mean, just
No. I think other dogs do it also.
really.
Yes, wolves and because the pups are not out. It's initially,
Right.
and then eventually they do work their way into
Yeah.
the real meat.
I guess their teeth would be pretty freaking tiny at that point.
Well,
if
at
at
that
all,
time
right?
they have their milk teeth because they're
Right.
not chewing mom apart,
Right. I guess that's where the regurg would make
and
sense.
they're eating the regurgitated food for up to 10 months. Now at
Eat.
3 months,
Like,
the pups start foraging with the mom, and of course, mom takes on most of the duties of raising them.
duty.
Now, they are sexually mature at 1 year of age, but they generally don't start breeding until they're 2 after they've gone out and established their own territories. Life expectancy in captivity is 12 to 15 years, with the record being 22, but they're really not sure how long they live in the wild, again, because it's hard to keep track of them.
Right.
And that's what I got from Maiden.
Nice. That's pretty good.
And that took a hell of a lot of, like I said, talking about going down,
I'd
approaching
imagine.
it from many different ways and
Yeah.
trying to find, okay, I don't want to know how to breed them in a zoo.
Yeah. I bet you that this has got to be a baculum situation.
Oh, yeah, they have a baculum.
Yeah, because there's a reason why it must be like one of those kind of star-shaped penises or something that, kind of, because I'm imagining the mating actually happens relatively fast, but they get knotted up like your average dog would. And, that's what's funny is when after it's done and you don't want to stay in the mounted position and they're kind of standing side saddle, it doesn't look that comfortable.
Hey, I'm going to go get something to eat. No, wait.
Yeah. Like, I'll be over here. I'm just waiting.
I'm a little embarrassed.
What else?
Was it good for you?
Yeah. All right.
No one sprayed us with a hose this time. It worked out pretty well. On to some behaviors here. Peak activity time for these guys is 8 to 10 a.m. and 8 to 10 p.m., but relative humidity and temperature can play a role.
It's not a long work day, really.
No, it's not too bad, but like I said at the beginning, there's some exceptions to moonlit nights, and I think they're really susceptible to heat, so they try not to get overheated. So cold days and cloudy days, they'll be a little more active as well. So they definitely, when they need to rest, they rest. But they hunt in open areas and prefer a little cover when they rest as well. So they'll find some shade and whatnot. They're solitary, don't form packs. They will sometimes gather a little bit together, like in a burned out field, because there is a particular 2 types of mice that will still hang around in burned habitat. And apparently they're really easy to catch because they don't have a lot of places to hide. So,
Mouse hunt.
yeah, that'll bring a few of the old Maine wolves together, and they're just hunting separately. But it would look like they're together, but they don't work in teams or anything like that.
It's a contest.
Yeah. They use those big old satellite dishes on their heads to listen for prey, and they tap on the ground to flush it out. Almost, I guess, like the female does, the little tappy tap to, entice her mate. They use that same behavior to flush out prey, and then they pounce to catch them. The kill is made by biting the neck or back, and if that doesn't do the trick, a good shake will finish the job. That's the old snapperoo.
The old broken neck and concussion simultaneously.
Right. Yeah, and I guess it was every place I found that it was referred to as a violent shaking. So I would imagine, it's like anything. You ever seen a cocker spaniel catch a water snake? That snake doesn't stand a chance because they've got it whipped about friggin' 20 times in like the first 0.02 seconds that they grab the damn thing.
Or those terriers grabbing the rats.
Yeah.
It's just
Oh yeah,
it's
those
just a-
rats are dead
it's
like
just a
right now.
Blur.
Yeah.
How they keep from scrambling? How they keep from scrambling their own brains? I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely something. It's definitely as mammals, we lost that ability to shake like that at some point in our history. Because if you've ever watched the slow motion of how they shed water, even that full body shake that they can do when they get wet and they need to dry off quickly, right? That is an incredible motion that they can perform that, the most we're ever going to get is like a pea chill. We're like,
You wouldn't want to see me do that.
yeah. I finally, I got interested in that because I haven't had one in forever, and I don't know really why that is, but I read that the pea chills come from, like, it mostly happens in the morning, and it's because of, like, a rapid loss of heat from your first urination, because, you're basically expelling body temperature fluid in about, 20 or so ounces, and that little temperature change is what can give you a little chill. I don't know if that happens to the ladies, but I've never actually asked. That's a interesting question. Let us know out there, ladies. Do you get chills when you pee in the morning? We need to know for science. So the pee is used to communicate, like Mark already said. Right. And some say it can smell like hops, but hops and cannabis both produce pyrazine, which is responsible for that funky, skunky smell. They even use it to mark places that they've buried hunted prey. And I didn't know that they cached food, but apparently they do. And having piss that smells that strong is a good way to find stuff again, apparently. On the menu are rodents, rabbits, armadillos, birds and their eggs, reptiles, gastropods, other mollusks, insects, and the occasional fish. Besides pouncing, they'll also chase down prey, dig it out of the ground, and even jump to catch birds out of the air, and have a hunt success rate of around 21%.
Yeah.
So 1 out of 5 things they spot dies.
But
They're the 5th dentist that doesn't prefer Trident. Right. You got to kill that dentist anyway.
Gotta kill that joke.
But
Well, yeah, I'm sure it probably hit, other people differently.
considering they eat mostly vegetation, that's not,
Right. And depending on the season, because
Yeah,
that's what we've got
yeah.
here. Animals are the food of choice in the dry season for obvious reasons. And fecal analysis has detected giant anteater, bush dog, and collared peccary in their feces, but whether they were hunted or scavenged is unknown. I'm betting scavenged.
me too.
Right.
They don't look like the type that are going to take something on that has teeth.
Yeah, and there was, I guess there's anecdotal accounts of them pursuing deer, but no one ever saw a kill. So it's, highly unlikely that they're taking down large prey at all.
The deer species there isn't large. In fact, it's smaller than they are.
Yeah, the pampas deer.
Yeah.
Only like 30 inches tall.
Yeah.
But they weigh almost the same.
It seems like they're kind of like the ocelot in that way that they prefer, just something that can eat and go. It's small enough, it goes down in a couple of bites and a nice hearty swallow, and you're down the road looking for the next one.
Well, like fox.
You don't have to use your teeth to rip off chunks and, work at it. It's just, it's a meal to go.
Like fox, they do that,
Yeah.
walk around and
like you-
pop a mouse down here and there.
Right. Yeah, it's just like grabbing a freaking quarter-pound big bite off the roller grill. Yeah, but they don't get free chili and cheese, poor
No, they do
bastards.
not.
Right. Not that anyone should be eating that stuff, and we don't recommend it, but George and I have been connoisseurs of that stuff for a while.
Oh, yeah.
They would eat it if they could.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
they would.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I used to drown the, make your own nachos in that stuff. It's a good way to go. You can really fill that tray a lot.
Tamale pie.
Basically. Studies show that animals only account for about 50% of their diet, and again, that's seasonal. The other half or more is comprised of fruits, vegetables, tubers, bulbs, roots, and even sugarcane.
Yep.
They have more than 300 food items on the menu, so I don't think many of them go hungry. And there could be droughts or whatnot
Yeah.
potentially that could cause a problem, but in general, they eat a very wide-ranging diet. Their favorite food by far is the wolf apple, which is a tomato-like fruit.
Yep.
These are an item that can be found in the dry season, and they are consumed year-round. In areas where they're readily available, it can be 40 all the way up to 90% of their diet, and the seeds pass intact and are dispersed widely as a result.
Yep.
And there's also a really interesting symbiotic relationship with
I got-
leafcutter ants.
I got a little about that.
Yeah. For some reason, they really like to take a dump on leafcutter ant nests.
Yep.
The ants don't care because they use the dung to fertilize their fungus gardens, and because they don't want the seeds, they move those to their refuse piles just outside the nest, and that has the benefit of significantly increasing the germination rate of the seeds collected in the refuse piles. So this also is the other reason why the maned wolf is the main propagator of the wolf apple, which I've never had a wolf apple. They must not be that great, I guess, but... I just always thought that they called tomatoes wolf apples because they thought they were poisonous forever because they were red.
That whole plant is poisonous to humans except for the fruit.
Really?
And the fruit's
Just like the tomato.
like large grapefruit sized, and people that are indigenous to that area do eat them, but they make like a jam out of the pulpy inside that has some sugar in it.
Otherwise, they're relatively bitter or sour. Or...
I think just kind of pointless to eat.
Oh, right.
They're filling.
Well, it did say that
11% carbohydrate. I guess.
That's oddly specific
Well,
Yeah.
for you.
because I was looking, I did read about them quite a bit. The starch that's in them, like more. Actually, it was more starch than cassava, which I don't know why they wouldn't eat more of them if that was the case. But some weird derivatives from some of the alkaloid compounds too. One of them specifically was aiding in fight against diabetes.
Huh.
Also, the alkaloid they use for killing certain parasites within people. Like, I can't remember what they all were. Some of them linked to mosquitoes, Giardia.
Yeah. And I read it was hypothesized that, apparently fleas don't tend to infest the Maine wolf all that often, but it's highly debatable whether or not they're gaining any type of an advantage from wolf apples and what they contain
They
to
still
stave
have
off
they
fleas.
still have high instances of ticks.
Yeah, they get a lot of ticks and they get some kind of fly that'll really get into their ears.
Yeah.
But it seemed to be like they don't get a whole lot of flea infestations in general.
And they think that it also might keep them from getting what they refer to as a giant kidney worm, which sounds bad on face value.
Right.
I don't know if I'd want a small one.
Yeah, I never looked at a picture, but I just ran into it and kind of skipped that whole section. Just it got to be a little daunting.
They were sort of just implying that may be the case, that it helps them, but
Yeah, I know it's definitely not confirmed.
but it is weird that they would eat that specific thing.
Yeah, I guess the more starch you're getting, it is a good way to convert quick glucose. If they're running on an energy system the way that we are, you got to eat something that gives you that glucose to run your cells and keep you going. So it's pretty awesome that as a dog they're eating this much fruit and vegetable matter just willingly to keep their energy up.
It
And
would probably make other dogs
Right.
sick to eat that much.
I guarantee you that 100% of their wolf apple hunts are successful.
Yeah, I was going to say that. They don't have to use those big ears to sneak up on them.
Right. Be like, there's a wild wolf apple. Zoos used to feed them a meat-heavy diet, but found it results in bladder stones.
Yep.
So now they're given a more balanced diet that includes fruits and vegetables low in cysteine, which is the major contributor to the development of the stones. And I guess they also kind of come up with their own extruded maned wolf chow that has low levels of that stuff as well. So, and it's mixed with meat. I would imagine, it would probably look just like opening a can of Alpo or, what you would think of as, the nasty refried bean looking dog food that you
Actually,
scoop out of the can.
It's usually in a pellet form.
Is it?
Yeah, like a dog kibble.
Huh.
Yeah, I think they said
I
extruded.
guess that'd be better. Yeah, it was extruded.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like licorice.
Yeah. That's delicious. Maned wolf rope candy. Red vines. I guess we'll do threats and we can jump into anything else that we've got after that.
All right.
I know that Mark has a Siptrid to
And
entertain
and
us
a-
all with.
Touch a little on some folklore too.
Yeah. Threats is just slightly longer than average, but from 1982 till 1996, the maned wolf was listed as vulnerable by the IUCN Red List. They were downgraded to near threatened in 96, although they still have declining populations. They were last assessed in 2015. Their natural predators are pumas and jaguars, but more frequently jaguars. Also, although they prefer grasslands, when these areas are destroyed by fire or human development, the maned wolf has been successful in transitioning to life closer to human populations. Local protections are helping, and education has helped many farmers to realize they don't pose a threat to domestic animals.
Nope.
They used to think of them as chicken snatchers.
I think
and-
that's the big hump to get over as far as human interaction
Yeah,
goes.
but they won't F with sheep. They don't mess with cows. They don't mess with pigs. You're gold. It's just like having ocelots around. They're beneficial for rodent control, which is beneficial to you in the long run,
Crops. Yep.
Yeah. That doesn't mean that the domestic animals don't pose a threat to them because they're
No.
vulnerable to infections and diseases carried by feral and domestic dogs. Vehicle strikes are a problem, and historically, in a few isolated parts of Brazil, they were hunted for their eyes and other body parts believed to be good luck charms.
Yep.
So I don't know what it looks like when you carry around a set of maned wolf eyes in your pocket, but weird is what I thought. Like, doesn't seem like an eyeball would dry or preserve very well. So what a weird good luck charm.
Who
Yeah.
knows?
I don't know how these things evolve, but you definitely wouldn't want to. That's not going to be a marshmallow shape in your Lucky Charms anytime soon. Like now with maned wolf eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hearts and stars and horseshoes, clovers and blue moons, maned wolf eyes and rainbows, and tasty red balloons. Right. It's weird that I still know all the marshmallows and freaking Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
Anyway, nowadays it's protected by law against hunting in Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay, and pretty much almost every country has a little bit of something on the books that says don't hunt maned wolves, but
Yep.
how much it's enforced, I don't know that either. I don't think anyone's eating them. I think you'd just be like collecting them for a weird pelt to hang on the wall or
Yeah, and I
something.
think that's about it. They've
Right.
kind of lucked out in that no other major body parts are harvested.
Yeah, it's a pretty spindly animal. I mean,
It must have a short penis.
yeah. I bet if you were going to eat a predator, it probably would taste better than most because of a heavier, plant-based diet. So I don't know, though. I wouldn't eat one. It looks too much like a dog. And
Well, the back of it's built a little like a deer.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's kind of like, it's got like a hyena mohawk crossed with a fox and giraffe legs. And it's a weird mishmash
I thought it
animal
was
for sure.
In general, it's pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, one of the most interesting canids by far.
so unlike.
Yeah, and I can't remember. There was a little bit of stuff about how they actually diverged away from other canids, like millions of years ago.
They're more closely related to the short-eared dog from that's found there. That's the complete opposite.
And the D hole. That's what it's called.
D hole.
I like that one.
The whole.
Oh, perfect. It must be Thiptrid. Yeah.
Not quite.
Oh no.
Falls across the land. The midnight hour is close at hand.
Uh-oh.
Creatures crawl in search of blood to terrorize your neighborhood.
All right.
Now I'm scared.
Yeah.
The wolf deer
I peed a little.
was first reported in
I can
1951 by a woman named Mrs. Lobb. She described it as standing at the shoulders of the same size as a gray wolf, weighing about 50 to 60 pounds, with 4 extremely thin deer-like legs, large foot pads, and a body built like a canine. Head was deer-shaped with small pointed ears on top. Fur was reddish-brown on the body with a bushy black tail with a white tip. And the tail was very horse-like in appearance and large for its body size. Now, this happened in the name of Calumet, Oklahoma. Now, early one morning, Mrs. Lobb was set out to do her morning chores on her and her husband's farm. Now, she made her way up the hill in the middle of the farm to the cattle pasture. She caught sight of this odd-looking creature. Now, Mrs. Lobb and the wolf deer stared at each other for about 2 minutes. Now, worrying that the creature would have harmed her cattle, she picked up a big stick and threw it at it. She hit it, but it didn't flinch. It just continued to stare at her. Unnerved, she went back to get her husband.
That all you got, old lady?
Yeah. Try again.
She went back to get her husband and told her what she had seen, and he said, well, he had seen the same thing 2 years prior in the brush line surrounding the farm, but didn't think it was a threat, and it was never seen again. Now, in 1971, it appeared in Minnesota near Canby on March 21st. D.R. Clark and H.H. Christensen were out driving around, and they noticed an odd-looking creature standing on the opposite side of the creek
Drinking
that ran
beer.
parallel to the road. They thought at first it was a deformed deer. Upon closer inspection, it looked like a deer-wolf cross. Clark got out of the car, and as he approached the water's edge, the wolf deer turned and looked at him. He started yelling and waving his arms at it to get it to move, but it didn't. It just kept staring at him, which frustrated him, so he went back to his car and retrieved a gun. He went back and shot at it numerous times and missed.
Should have used a
crit-
stick.
The creature stood up, moved over a few feet, and laid back down and continued to stare at him. Frustrated by his lack of aim and the animal not moving, he went back into his car and they drove off. The creature was never seen again. Now, in both instances, the theory is they could possibly have been maned wolves that had escaped. But no one had any records of having any in neither one of those areas at that time frame.
Yeah.
So,
So I bumped into a weird short blurb about one in Texas, which was weird,
I
but
missed that one, but yeah.
yeah, I would have to believe,
Yeah.
it could have been a circus going by or something.
Well, they weren't really what you would call a circus animal.
I mean, they would have been freaking unusual.
Oh, they would have been, but yeah.
I mean, I would imagine, like, freak show wise, they
Yeah.
probably would have been marketed as like a fox that boned a deer.
No, and I don't know. There we go. That report in the storm. Now, in Guarani mythology, the maned wolf is thought of as a young warrior who transforms into a wolf to protect its tribe from jaguar attacks. And the mane protected it in battles. Now, in Brazilian tales, maned wolf was a medicine man or shaman that guarded the secrets of the rainforest. Its red fur linked it to the spirit world.
Why?
Why not?
Was red just the color that
Yes,
they
that was-
associated?
yes,
Okay.
with the spirit world.
Yeah.
And that's what I got.
I think before the ages of books, television, and everything else, you came up with a reason for everything that was
Yep.
you could see. Probably how we got a lot of oral traditions.
Yeah,
Heyo.
I got some oral tradition.
I believe it.
All right.
Yeah.
How about a review?
I'm gonna go with best IPA, non-alcoholic that we've done. So I'll jump straight in with I'll go 9.5 on this one. I think it tastes just like Green Label, although it's weird that they decided to call the NA an IPA, because I think I'm thinking of the Sierra Nevada Pale, the standard Green Label you all know and love. It's very similar to that, but I guess they didn't want to mix up
yeah.
the brands or.
And in Trail Pass, they have two. They have this one, then they also have another one they call the Golden, which we're going to try at a later date.
It's weird because that's one of the options at the golf course. They have Heineken Zero, they have Athletic Golden Ale, and there's also an NA canned cocktail that they have, but I haven't tried that one yet. So.
Called juice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Capri Sun.
Right. It's called High C.
I'm going to go with a 9 as an NA.
Yeah.
I'll go there.
I think it's so similar to the, Green Label, though. I'm going to go find this because it'll go in my fridge at home because I
yeah.
really like the flavor of this one.
Total One and More, and I've seen it other places. Too.
Yeah, there's nothing off-putting at all about this one. It even doesn't come across as dry as a lot of the NAs that we've tried. It drinks like a beer. It's pretty damn
Well, it
good.
was brewed in the same process as a beer, as opposed to taking the alcohol out, which actually hurts the quality of the product.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me any funnier or smarter, though.
That's true. Does regular beer? Yeah,
No.
it does. It's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
Yeah. He just gets a looser tongue.
All right.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
What do you think of the beer nut Cantina mix?
Well, I think that our entire audience can probably tell from the fact that our mouths were full while we were talking for almost this entire show that I'm going to go right in the same score as I gave the beer, 9.5 on these bastards. The only thing I don't like is holding them in your hand. I've got some sticky fingers now.
It's
so
from the.
I don't know what
the
the F is.
It's the sweetness on
That's
whatever the coating is
the
on the
twang
nut.
seasoning?
It's the twang on the nuts.
I've got twang.
Get
on
a
my
nut
fingers.
twang.
Whatever
on your,
that twang glaze is.
That's a nut twang. I'm gonna go a 9
Yeah.
as a nut mix.
I know Max was right there. This is up on his scale of the snacks we've done for a show.
This is one.
Max
Max is going with a 10.
might be the
Damn.
best combo we've had.
Yeah. Because I like the, the ones that have like the Asian chili crescents. And,
Oh, yeah.
those mixes are super good too. Sometimes they've got wasabi peas
Yeah.
and all that weird stuff. This has just enough of an interesting change in textures. I don't know what's what. I don't know what the yellow sticks are. I'm assuming the green ones have to be the guacamole
Yeah,
or
and the yellow ones are
jalapeno
the
or-
habanero sticks.
Oh, habanero sticks.
And there's
Yeah.
also a chili lime insane grain stick in there too.
Huh.
There's
Yeah,
a couple
the,
different ones in there.
Yeah, even the spiciest of the spicy things in this aren't gonna kick your ass.
No.
It's nothing that's overwhelming
Pretty
my
well
palate
balanced.
at all.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's got mild salt, mild sweet, and mild hot.
Yeah, I like it.
It's got a bit of everything going on in
Makes
here.
you want to drink more,
Yeah, it would.
which is the whole idea behind
Yeah, I
it.
think that's how they must have
Yeah.
invented the old beer nut.
Yeah.
Beer nut.
All right, George,
Yeah.
did you give the beer nuts? Did you give the nuts a number?
I'd say both a 9.
Okay, cool.
Maybe the beer a little lower than that, but
Yeah, to good times and great nuts.
Yeah.
They came up with our best tagline ever.
Yeah.
I wish we would have thought of that. Yeah, till next week, friends. Good times.
they
and
should have
great
called them
nuts.
sticky nuts.
Yeah, I think that failed with the test market.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Yeah, put our sticky nuts in your mouth.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Melt in your mouth and stick to your hands.
The
Peace out.